Hi everybody, welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm gonna continue working in the Outlander coloring book, bringing this page together, and I'm coloring the third shelf and talking to you about how I introduce new colors, where I want to have color repetition, where I don't. And I'm mentioning an idea for the background to be colored maybe in a different way I had thought previously. Oh, totally vague, I know. Just keep on watching. So it's been a couple of days since I filmed the last video on this, so my arm is fully rested and I can go on coloring. So I'm going on with the stuff on the shelf, just well, giving it some color. I think I do still have all the pencils with me that I already used on this piece, so I'm trying to have color repetition and using the same shades if I can. If I cannot, I will pick one of the pencils from my trays that are next to me. But first, I'm quite unprepared. I need to sharpen my pencil again. Well, one of my pencils. That is the cream one, which I think I used on the papers and such. So I'm going to use that for this top thing here. Jörn, Tür bitte im Bad zu. Wenn ich nicht dran denke, ich will nicht unsere Klamotten von der Frontkamera. Danke. Alright, need another one. Maybe, what are you? Primal orange? No, mineral orange. Yeah. I'm gonna take that one as the third color. You saw in earlier videos that I used, for example, only the yellow and the cream on the top shelf. Then I added a little bit of brown, like a burnt sienna type on this particular one here, and now I'm choosing a mineral orange just to make it look similar but not totally the same. So I'm gonna start with this big one here, just a whole layer of cream colored pencil. And this morning, before I have been starting filming and looked at this page again, thinking about, okay, how do I want to color the shelf? I had an idea. I'm not really sure yet if I want to go ahead with it, but I thought maybe I'd introduce a very dark brown Tombow marker for the background of the shelves, and then colored pencils on top. So I'm toying with that idea while I do all the other colored pencil work first. So it might be that I'm gonna introduce another medium. Again, not sure at this point. So a little bit of the mineral orange, just on the darkest spots. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, I'd encourage you to go back to learn about why I chose certain items, like when it comes to what medium I'm working with, and also how I build up the page, so how I decide where I want my light source to be and stuff like that. So just very short recap, the light comes from the lower left. So this is how I determine where my highlights are and where my darkest darks are. For example, here it's going to be on top. and to the right. I'm gonna jump a bit on this particular shelf here because there's more labels that I want to color in, since I do have that combo in my hand. So I'm not gonna finish that jar first, but moving on to the label here on the bottle beneath the behind the jar, using it exactly the same color combos as I did before. So the jar pretty much shades or draws a shadow on the bottle. It just blocks out light, so I only use very little cream and quite a bit more of the dark tone, which is again mineral orange. And you don't have to write down the pencil numbers or the names of the colors if you happen to have Prismacolors too and want to work with a color combo that you see here and that you like. I do have a blog post for every art video that I put out. So if you go to the description box, there's a link to my webpage, pinselgeschichten.de, and there you can find a list of all the supplies that I use in any given video that has to do with artwork. So in case you watch this video a long time after this has been released, just search for the video name without Beyond the Lines, and the blog post will come up, so it's easy for you to find. That's why I name my blog posts like that. So I got all the labels down. Now the question is, which color is that gonna be? I think it's gonna be the horse dung that Claire was talking about. So I'm giving it a greenish brownish tone, and for that I'm taking artichoke. Most definitely. What are you? You are a gray pencil. I like you a lot, and I think I want the espresso tone, so it's gonna be looking a little you know, a little yucky, but it can be dried horse dung. I think that's what it's gonna be. It could also be, I don't know, dried vomit. No, just kidding, but the way I color it here, it kind of reminds me of that. So there's a reflection here on that jar, and I just colored it with the artichoke, but I will not use a lot of the other shades on it, so I will pretty much color around. And I might add a little gel pen later on just to enhance the highlights. That's one thing that I do at the very end. So whatever medium I'm working with when it comes to coloring or drawing, painting, doing my own artwork, it's always the last thing I put on top. So except for a very particular way of watercoloring, when I want like a highlight but not a harsh highlight, I use a white gel pen and then go on top with the watercolor again. But since I'm not working with watercolor here, I can say that I'm going to use gel pens at the very last step of coloring this page. It's probably gonna have a few more videos to its name here, that particular page, so the surgeon's room, because colored pencils is just a very slow medium. And you can see here I'm already at the third video and I haven't gotten that far yet. But once in a while I just really enjoy those slow pages, you know. So I'm not gonna use the artichoke pencil on the next one. There's another glass with a similar thing in there, at least when it comes to the line work. But I'm not gonna color it the same way. I'm just gonna go for the gray that I do have in my hand, and I will use the espresso on top. Maybe a little more here of that lighter tone. There we go. And you can see I don't color to the edges of the jars or the bottles, because there's in some of these bits there's like a highlight or a reflection, and I do want to keep that white for now. So when I excuse me, when I color my background, I can bring the two together, because glass usually is see-through, so you can see the brown from the wood beneath. So I'm just thinking, what do I want for those other jars? Oh, there's another label back there I just saw. Da-dee-da-dee. So I'm just gonna color that beige too, and I think I want a cool gray for that jar here on the very right. So I'm going in with a cool gray 70%. I'm gonna put espresso on top, which is a brown, that's true, but it works very nice with the grays as a shading color. Like that combo. And then it peeks through that glass jar here, so you can very subtly see the line work there. So I'm just going to add a little bit, just really a smidge of that color on top. Looks weird for now, but it's gonna come together in the end. Don't worry. So now I'm gonna take, you are a dark brown, I like you. Take that pencil for the bottle caps, and I'm not shading those. Oh, I think this is a glass bottle cap, so I'm not shading those for now. Am I? Well, maybe the big one, but not all the others. There we go. It just needs a tiny little bit. These items are so small you can hardly see anything through it, so you don't have to shade every little item. So for this vial here, I'm taking the goldenrod. Same goes for this one here, because I'm just making them to be the same liquid, and on top I'm gonna put the pumpkin orange. There we go. I'm thinking about, what do I want these two to be? Maybe another blue, but like a cooler shade. So I used turquoise and indigo for one of the color combos, like on this jar here and that bottle up here. So maybe I put that on this bottle here, and on this one I'm going to use a cooler blue. So kind of introducing a new color there, but just a shade of the color, if you know what I mean. So I have used blue shades before, but maybe I just want to introduce a new one. Might be a little bit like interesting or just nice to see. And it can, well, add a little interest to the page. So by me using all of these yellows and creams, grays and greens mainly on these items here, I keep it calm, the page. It's not gonna look too busy. I do have a few spots here that are kind of like the focal points, so where the color draws in your eye. And you kind of focus on that part, but I want something else. So I think I do have a cool color here. Yes, the ultramarine. So I use that one. So maybe I just want to use a little bit of a lighter shade and let the ultramarine be the focal point. And I'm kind of liking the 1025. It's almost like a grayish blue, and that is Periwinkle. Oh, that's a nice name for this color. And I'm hoping I don't have my big old head in screen all the time. I did kind of good on the 2 previous videos, but only kind of. So let's see how I do today. So this is a muted tone. And now I go over that jar of what I think to be is horse dung and bring in that blue, because the bottle behind that jar again peeks through. You can see the color through the jar in front. So a little periwinkle. Then I'm going on top with the ultramarine. That darkens up that bottle really, really nicely. And since this bottle is behind the others, it gets way less light to reflect on it. So I'm shading it quite a bit more than I would have the jars and bottles in the front row. Another layer of periwinkle, blending everything out. Or more like together. Out is the wrong word. And I had some smudges. That's more like it. Okay. And there is your shelf. The rest I'm gonna ignore for now, because I said it in previous videos before. I do want to wait for me to decide on what the back of the cupboard's gonna be like, what it's gonna be colored like, so I don't want to think about that now and bring everything together probably in a later video, because I truly doubt that I'm going to be able to do that now. But I'm gonna set up my vlogging camera because I gotta tease you guys of what's to come up. So now I'm gonna go on with the books. So for the books I can be a little more oomph with my colors, and yes, that's a technical term. So the first one here I want to be quite red, so I'm taking the Crimson Lake and the Tuscan Red. I use those color combos here on that bottle underneath, above, woo, words, and I'm just going to give it a nice layer of color, just going all over the thing. And I'm using ovals or tiny little circles to color my items, because that makes for a very smooth look in the end. If you don't want to have a smooth look because you need some texture on something, I would recommend you go in lines, not circles or ovals so much. I'm going in with that dark Tuscan Red where all the shadows are. Then I'm gonna go on top with my Crimson Lake again and give the rest a second layer just to bring the two items together, those two colors. This is a very subtle shadow, so I'm going to add a little bit of my favorite shading color on top, a little bit of indigo, very light touch. And also here on the side. And then for the pages that you can probably hardly see up there, I'm just going to take burnt ochre, because there's not a lot of space there to actually shade something, so I'm just going for my darkest color there to bring in some brown tones. For the bookmark here, I'm just gonna take a warm gray and a little bit of indigo on top. I should throw my pencils, you say, huh? Alright, next up, next to it, I'm going to take the burnt ochre that I had used before, like on the previous book. I'm gonna use that as my main color here. And I'm going to take another brown tone that I already used. No, that's a gray. What are you? Chocolate. Chocolate is a brown tone, most definitely. And a little bit of my beige yellow combo that I used for the labels. Just using these two colors here. Not a third color. I'm using the yellow also on top where you can see a few of those pages. And then I will go in with shading. And for that, I'm gonna take the espresso pencil. Espresso. I'm just gonna use it on both segments of the book, so both brown tones will be shaded with 1/3 brown tone. And then I'm just gonna add a second layer of the respective base colors to just bring the layers together to not have my base coat look so lost. There we go, that's a book. And the third one, I think I want gray tones. So let's see. Maybe like a beige. Maybe for the markers up there, not sure yet. But I want my French grays. And maybe a tiny little bit of oh gosh, what's it called? Espresso. So I'm going in with my lightest tone here, my mid-tone here and here, like on the top and the bottom part of the spine. And then my darkest on this section here, it's kind of patterned with some tiny little dots, so maybe this is supposed to be some skin or leather or whatever, but I'm just gonna color it very solidly dark gray. And I'm going to take my espresso pencil and give this a very, very subtle shadow here, like all the way. Going in with my original colors, blending everything together, and you're good to go. It's that simple. That's enough for the vlogging cam. so she can go to sleep while I do add the final color. And you can see tiny little peaks of pages peek through here, and I'm just gonna use my yellow, just single layer, adding a hardly visible smudge of color there. So you can see there's a candle. Which means now that the coloring of those bottles is going to be a little more tricky maybe. So I'm starting from the left with my candles here. So I'm going to color the candles first and then move on to the bottles and tell you about where like the light comes from. Of course it comes from the candle, but there's also a secondary light source down here, remember? So that coloring will be a little, well, not difficult. Difficult is the wrong word, but you just gotta be a little more aware maybe. So I'm using, I think this is ginger root. Yes, it is. I remembered, for the candles to be shaded. Now, this one here is a light source. So anything on top will have way more light than the lower part. However, there's a light coming in from here. So there's a secondary light source, which means that I'm not gonna shade everything all the way down, because there's another highlight there. It's just a very tiny smidge here that I'm shading for this nose of candle wax. Up here it's all just very light. This one here is going to be shaded something like this, because again the light source hits up from here. There's a light source coming in from the lower left, but that beam and also the point that it's further in the cupboard will shade or have a little less light coming from the bottom. So I can put a shadow there. There's a few other candles laying back here, I think, so they just get a little bit of a shadow. This one here is hit from the right hand side. The left hand side prevents this light source here to hit that particular candle. So this one is shaded from the left. And this is how you just go about your objects around a page, or maybe your own painting or drawing, whatever it is that you want to incorporate these concepts on. And you just go just bit by bit by bit by bit and do your thing. Color the shadows and the highlights and the midtones and all of that. So color repetition again for the candle. I'm gonna use my yellow and the goldenrod on top here. I will bring in a very light blue gel pen for the lower part of the flame, but that's way later. I'm not gonna color this ring here yet. Again, I'm gonna do that when I work on the background. But there is like a candle holder down here that has to be colored. Just going in with one layer of 90% French gray, because this is nice and dark. There's not a lot of shading because it's probably not a reflective surface. Now on to the bottles. First of all, I gotta decide what I want as the main tones for this section. I think I want the ginger root to be one liquid. Maybe I do want a very dark brown liquid for once. Because I do have a lot of yellow and oranges. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I also need a very light blue because I want a little bit of a cooler light blue liquid. So maybe, let's see, the 23, which is, let me find it, where are you? There. It's this pencil here, and it's called Cloud Blue. Oh, that's nice. We can use up some clouds and bottle them, and I'm gonna take the periwinkle as my shading color. So I got a yellow, I got a blue, maybe another yellow. So these two be yellow, this one is blue, or this one is blue. Maybe like another purple. I've got the purple there. I don't want this to be the purple lane. I would maybe color this one purple or here. I don't know yet. Let me think. That's the difficult thing. You want to have color repetition, of course, but you also want not everything to look the same. So I'm just peeking over at the pencils that I already used, and I just saw the pink tones that I used on the shell. I think that's a nice color repetition thing, because I just used it once, but it could very well work with a liquid. So yeah, why not? I'm gonna put the ginger root here in this bottle with my golden rod. And then I'm gonna put the blue one behind it. So there's a little blue peeking through that glass. It's definitely here. I'm just gonna add the blue on top here as well. And then I'm gonna shade. I'm going to use a bit of that periwinkle down there as well, because that bottle here behind is also hid from the candle. So there's a little more of a lighter shade all the way to the left, which means that you can hardly see it through the yellowish liquid in front. Just can see it a tiny little bit. Cleaning things up. There we go. And now for the pink or rose color liquid. There's gonna be a tiny shadow to the right, and since the blue is peeking through, I will also shade it from the left just to show, okay, there's a bottle behind it, you know. The liquid looks a little darker there because it's just a few layers of color that you're actually looking through, you know. Well, you can't look through, but you know what I mean, right? Okie dokie. I do really like that pink color combo, so I'm gonna use it in just a very slightly different way on that bottle here. So the lighter color is the Great Lavender, and I'm gonna put the same shading color on top. So I do have my cool shade, but I'm shading quite a bit with my warm, almost skin colored pink tone. And I'm not sure what these are supposed to be, but I'm just gonna give them a very nice green tint. So let's go for the Zest of Lime. Again, I'm going over the lavender and pink pencil because some of those peas or whatever they are do peek through. And I gotta tone it down a bit. So I'm using the moss green to shade on the right hand side. So the light green pretty much is just visible where the candlelight hits. I'm going to use a little bit of the periwinkle on top too, just to darken my shadows and to add a little bit of contrast, or just intensifying the shadows, you know. All right, now I gotta color my bottle caps. I do want a little color repetition in this shelf, so I'm taking my red pencils that I used on the right hand side book. And for the rest, I'm going to take brown tones. A little starker contrast between the two, so I got the burnt ochre and the espresso. Espresso has to be sharpened. The burnt ochre is still okay, so just going in. This one's gonna break on me soon. Yep, and it does right away. Great. So let's resharpen. And well, that pencil is having quite some trouble with the lead, it seems, because it just again, and I feel like it's gonna break again very soon. Yep, it does. Okay, this is a Prismacolor problem. Great. Or not. So let's retry sharpening. Getting there. Let's hope it doesn't break. Oh, of course it did. What the heck? I can go through that whole pencil, it seems. That's why I do. And it broke on both parts. Great. So this is something with quality and Prismacolors that I don't like. Some of those pencils are really good and some of them just break every 5 seconds and it's so annoying. That has to do it. So I just sharpened it without the this doesn't work. No, without the plastic thingy on top, on the bottom, so I could see where my lead is, and this is not great. But it's better than going through the whole pencil in one go, just trying to sharpen it. I did have the same problem with a black pencil. Let me show you. I used that pencil maybe 5 times, and just let me show you a new pencil. This is how much I just had to sharpen after like 5 items that I colored. So same breakage there. It's really annoying. Lucky me, I do have other pencils that I could just use when it comes to a nice crisp black. But if you don't have that, it can be quite annoying, I think. So, all right. That's the next shelf done. Ooh, now I get to probably a couple more greens, I think. Let's see. Ooh, oh, sorry, that was loud. So, I think. What are you? Just some gel or bubbly? Are you see-through? No, you're not. Otherwise you could see those twigs back there. You could see them through this jar here. So this is not see-through. So I can play with colors. I think this one here is see-through. So now the question would be, what do I want? I think I want to go with maybe kind of copper tones, I guess, maybe. It's difficult. Do I want to go with a yellow? No, I don't. Don't want to go with green either, because let's go for the parts that I know what I want to do with. So for these leaves, I'm taking, I think it is jade green. Yes, it is. It's a very nice grayish tone. Use that on the lavender on one of the upper shelves. And this time around, I'm not going to combine it with indigo like I did before, but I'm just gonna add some moss green just to add a little bit of a fresher, warmer green tone and have that combined with that cold grayish green. Actually like that combo a lot. And I use it over and over again. And sometimes if I'm feeling really fancy, I put a little indigo on top on these very low parts. Do I feel really fancy today? Yeah, why not? Fancy schmancy Saturday. Because it's Saturday that I'm filming. Usually I film Sundays and Fridays, but yesterday we went out. And tomorrow we've got 2 other videos to be recorded, so I can't have another video on top, especially not one on a different spot in the apartment, because then it just takes forever to set up for every different kind of video. So that's why I'm recording on Saturdays. You gotta change things up once in a while. So the plants are done. Maybe I just wanna keep on going with that pot. Ooh, I see some very nice interesting colors. I think I know. Difficult. Because I like these 2 colors here. Maybe I can use them on the book or something, but I should concentrate on my pot underneath first. So I'm taking the, I think it's gold, metallic gold. Yes, I'm taking that. Taking the one underneath, which is seashell pink. That's a nice color combo. And I'm going to add a little bit of the, I think it is pumpkin orange. Yeah, pumpkin orange and goldenrod. So let's see if I can make a copper-ish tone. Shouldn't be, or it doesn't have to be copper exactly. I do not care, but just reminding of a metal bowl here, reminding the viewer of that. I think that would be a nice thing. So I'm going in from light to dark. And since I'm closer to the light source here, I can be a little lighter. Or have the light dot in the middle be a little bigger, you know. So putting in the pumpkin. And I think it needs a little bit of a burnt ochre, yeah, just a bit. Because I want the red, but I don't want the red, you know, just toning down that pumpkin orange a bit, just a smidge, not too much. So again, blending that out with the goldenrod. Bringing in my seashell pink. Now I can go on top with my metallic gold. And I'm using a very light touch because there's like these little half circles there, and I want to draw them in with the gold metal pencil. So I gotta leave a little bit of I gotta leave a little bit of the paper to take even more pigment, you know. So on with my brown. And the goldenrod for the middle. Little bit of my seashell. Bring back highlights. And now I can put in some of these half circles. And if you very quietly hear somebody walking here, that's my roommate, who is very, very respectful of my filming time. So he tries to not disturb my audio and be very quiet. And that's totally cute. Okay, that's good enough for me. I might go on top with a wink of Stella or something later on. I don't know yet. But yeah, I had said I wanted a certain color combo that I really liked. And I'm gonna use it for the book. So I do have the clay rose and the rosy beige. Gonna use it for that book here because I think that's just a nice color combo that works with the copper-ish kind of a pot. But also it's a new color, something I haven't used before. Something that I can incorporate later on. So okay, these two colors are very similar, so they're not really visible. But let's take the black raspberry that I had used before, use that as my shading color. And let's check the time. Oh, I'm good. Let's go for the paper thingamajig on top, and also need one more black raspberry, and I put the pencil away already. There it is, because there's like a ribbon here that I do want to be colored in black raspberry, just to again have color repetition, bring those items together here on that shelf. So I'm using my cream for the cloth thing on top and a little bit of goldenrod. It's a little too light for me, so I'm just taking the burnt ochre just to put in a tiny bit here. Just a smidge on the right, that's enough already. I think I want this to be a blue. So I'm taking the periwinkle and indigo on top. So it is a maybe, no, I don't want the sky blue. It's a combination of a warm tone and a cold tone, which is always interesting. Going around that bottle here. And putting the indigo on top. Going in again with my lighter tone and bringing them together. Need a smidge more of the indigo, especially here on the upper right hand side. Oh, I forgot, there's the bottle's only filled halfway, so I can put in some of the periwinkle blue, and then I'm just taking sand and sunburn yellow to color the bottle in front, and the sand color and the mineral orange for the liquid in here. Now I need, let's take blue for the bottle cap. And for this jar, there's a liquid in it. Okay, so first of all, it's time for the label. And then I think I want to have a light gray liquid in there. So I'm taking my cloudy blue and the lightest gray that I can find here. A cool gray that is 20%. So I'm taking my very light blue. And my light gray. And have my liquid colored. Just gonna take French gray 90%. For the bottle cap, no shading there, it's just a thing. Whew. What is this? Oh yeah, maybe I think I will leave it at that for today, because I've got about an hour colored, so not colored, I worked for about an hour, so I'm gonna go on to this shelf next week. Then I will work on the table probably the week after that, and then I will bring things together. So that's the plan, at least. I hope you enjoyed watching along. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. All these pencils that I used here will be listed on the blog, so an hour after this video goes live, the blog post is up, so you can take a look. I'd love for you to subscribe if you're new, if you want to see art videos, vlogs, podcasts, or board game videos. You found the right channel, hopefully, maybe, I hope. And I'm gonna see you next week. Take good care and have fun. Bye.